I can shake my head, but I'm not dancing. Welcome to another Facebook Live. Here we are again. My name's Craig. I'm from mansioningles.com, where we have free material for you to improve your English. And also we have a podcast that you can find at inglespodcast.com. And with me this week, a huge hello to Lynne. Hi, Lynne.
Hi, Craig. How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
I can see that you're into the music. Craig's doing lots of experiments. It's great that you're putting music in our show. It's lovely. Yeah, so my name's Lynne, and I'm from, if you haven't seen this show before, I'm from putitlikethis.com. That's my business. I'm an online teacher. So if you're looking for classes online, then you can go to my website and you can find out all about the different types of classes and services that I offer. Okay?
Fantastic. Well, this week, our topic, and I don't have a banner for it, but it is friendship. We're going to look at some vocabulary connected to friendship and some expressions and have a bit of discussion around the friendship theme. So let's say hello to people who are joining us first. Hi, Karina. You're in the chat. It's nice to see you. Pilar is with us. Olivia. Hello.
Olivia.
Who else is in there?
Fabiana, Miriam, Christina, and Hema. Nice to see you all. Yeah.
Great to see you.
Okay. So we're going to talk about friendship. Friends. First of all, before you do any vocabulary, Craig, are you my friend?
Of course I'm here. We've known each other for years. We're good friends.
Good.
And we also have some good friends in the chat room. Hema's with us. She's a good friend. And Christina, the other regular people who join us, they're all friends of ours.
We keep recognizing names that come every week. So we feel like you're our friends. There you are, Hema and Christina. And I think Fabiana's been here before too. Yeah, so hello, friends.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends.
Before we get going with vocabulary, just remember the pronunciation of friends, because we're not pronouncing every letter. We don't say friends, do we? In English,
no, we don't.
Friends. Friends.
We do. And that's a very important point, because there is another word that looks like friends. Well, not quite, but it's fiend, isn't it? F-I-E-N-D. But friend is F-R-E-I-N-D, and a fiend is your enemy, which is, of course, the opposite to friend. But friend has got an R in it, and it's friend. So you're a friend. Great.
And there are other ways of saying friend that are more informal. For example, pal, you can say as an informal way of calling someone your friend. Hey, pal, how you doing? Mate, of course, is very British English, very Australian English as well, but not too common in American English. What would Americans say? Buddy, probably?
Buddy, yes, they would. Now we've got drinking buddy on there. I put that one on because we do say that in British English. We do use the word buddy, but we just use it like in that. I only use it in that context. Your drinking buddy, that's somebody that you like going to the pub with. You can also say your drinking pal. I've heard that quite a lot. Have you? Drinking pal?
Drinking pal, drinking buddy. They don't tend to be close friends, do they? Just people you drink with and maybe have a few beers with. So not close friends, but people you know and like
people
to
you
drink
know
with.
And you have quite a good relationship with them. But buddy, in UK English, we don't really use the word buddy, but in American English, they do. Yep. We would use mate more. We also have the word bestie.
I noticed you put that word in. Well, I wouldn't use that. How would you use it?
No, nor would I. But the young people use the word bestie.
Okay.
So younger people tend to use the word bestie. You're my bestie, and that means you're my best friend. So my daughters use that word, or used to use that word. But when you're a bit older, you don't really talk about your bestie. But your bestie means your best friend, which is the friend above all others, of course. If you have a bestie. Do you have a bestie, Craig? Some people like having besties and other people don't.
I'd say it's my partner. I think my wife, partner. My wife is probably my bestie because we're very close, and I have very close friends, but they're not in Spain. So
Uh-huh.
because of the distance, because it's not, we don't speak that much. Yes, they are very, very close friends, but I wouldn't call them best friends because I think a best friend you have to see very often, or at least talk to very often,
I
in order
think
to be a
so.
best friend.
You do. You have to have like a really, really close relationship. So I think you're right that I would say my husband is my best friend too. If I have to choose one, I would choose my husband as my best friend because we spend most of our time together and we
Exactly.
share everything. But in terms of friends with other people who are not your partners, I never. I have lots of friends, so I don't like having a bestie. Some people are really, especially women, maybe, some women can get a little bit sensitive, they want to be the best one. But I don't really like that because my friends are all different and I'm friends with everybody. I love them all.
Christine's learnt a new word today, bloke, but
Oh, you
not
never knew the word bloke,
necessarily.
Christine.
Not
That's not to do
necessarily.
with friend.
No, it's just an informal word for man. This
Yeah.
bloke, I saw this bloke today. I saw this man today. So it
Uh-huh.
means man, but it's more informal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Ingrid says, hello, dear friends,
Mm.
which is nice
Mm-hmm.
because we're speaking about friends, Ingrid. So thanks
Nice.
for joining
Uh-huh.
us. And Christine said, bosom friends. That's not a common collocation, although I would say a bosom buddy is a fairly strong
Or would
collocation.
you?
Do you
I
agree?
would have said, no, I would have said a bosom pal.
A bosom pal also. Yeah.
Bosom pal. I've never heard bosom. Yeah,
Bosom
it's a
buddy.
little bit. I think it's a little bit old-fashioned to say bosom. Of course, the word bosom means your chest, your
Your breasts.
breasts, your breasts. But can men have bosoms? Yeah.
Well, when you get to my age and you don't do much exercise, you do get some fair size bosoms.
Craig, as your best friend, as one of your pals, maybe you need a bra, do you, for your bosoms?
I think let's move on with the vocabulary. Enough of this bra talk. Enough of speaking about my breasts.
Okay,
Now,
we also have partners in crime. That's a nice one. Do
yeah.
you want to tell them what a partner in crime is?
Well, yeah, it mainly for children, I think. Although no, not necessarily for children, but it's a person who you maybe do mischievous or slightly naughty or bad things with. Not seriously bad, not breaking the law, even though crime is in the expression. But
Mm-hmm.
if you go out with a good friend on a Friday night without your partner and you have a great time, and your partner might say, oh, you're going out to the pub with your partner in crime, because maybe it's a little bit naughty, it's a little bit
Mm-hmm.
mischievous to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I would describe a partner in crime. Someone you go and do something with who is a close friend, but it's maybe a little bit naughty, a little bit suspicious.
It could be naughty or suspicious, or I think it can be also a little bit sort of out of the ordinary. So something that's out of the ordinary, because I could describe you, I could say, oh, I do Facebook every couple of weeks, and my partner in crime is Craig.
Yes, that's a good example.
Because it's something that's a bit unusual. It's not something that we do all the time, that we go on Facebook and talk to lots of friends and strangers around the world. But so maybe we would say partner in crime when you're doing something a little bit unusual, but you have somebody that you do it with, a friend that you share it with. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Rafa's joined us. Hi, Rafa. Good to see you here.
Hi.
He's an old friend. An old friend is someone you've known for quite some time. My oldest friend I've known since we were 6 years old. He doesn't live in Spain. He lives abroad, but he's my oldest friend. So an old friend, you go back many years and you've
Mm-hmm.
kept the relationship, you've kept the friendship going for a long period of time. So you can say, yeah, they're an old friend. I've known them for years. That doesn't mean the person is old necessarily. It just means that you've known them for a long time.
For a long time. That's right. And you can also say childhood friend, if in the case, like your case, if you knew them from your childhood, then you say a childhood friend. Sometimes we say they're my university friends. If for different phases in your life, they're my work friends. Okay. So we often put like a descriptor in front of the word friend like that. We also can have a friend for life, which means that's a friend that's really, really good. And you think you're going to know that person and have that person as a friend until you die, basically. Yeah. Yeah. And the last one.
Yep, a true friend is a real friend, a good friend, a close friend, someone you can rely on, someone you can trust, someone who's there for you for the bad times as well as for the good times, is a true friend, someone who helps you when you need help.
Mm-hmm. I'd just like to comment, Hema has made a comment about the word partner in crime, and she's given the word in Spanish cómplice. And I think that's a good translation of that one. Yeah. Do you?
Yeah.
That's really good, Hema. Yeah, I think that captures it very much. Somebody who you're complicit in doing something with. Mm-hmm.
So we've spoken about very good friends, very close friends, but somebody you know who's not necessarily a friend is an acquaintance. So that's the difference. An acquaintance is just somebody you know who they are, maybe somebody at work, but not somebody you would count as a friend, someone you would ask a favor from, for example, would be an acquaintance.
And it's an interesting, I think you have to be careful about this in English because, of course, you know the word friend very easily. And for example, you might be introducing people to one another. And you might want to say, this is my friend, Craig. Or you might say, and this is an acquaintance of mine. This is Craig, right? Now, you can be polite and friendly using the word friend or acquaintance, but you make a very big distinction because, for example, if I say, this is my friend, Craig, then I'm giving you a signal that you can trust him. If you trust me, you can trust my friend. But if I say it's an acquaintance, I'm making it clear that I don't know this person well enough, right? So it doesn't mean that you don't trust the person, but you want to make it clear to the other people that you don't know this person that well, okay?
Is that something, can I sorry to interrupt you. Is that something you think about when you're introduced to someone? Do you think about the people? If that person, if you have a friend, a good friend who introduces you to someone, would you judge somebody by the company they keep? Is that something you'd think about? You think, it must be a nice person. This must be a nice person. Is a good friend of Lynne's. It must be a nice person.
I think that association comes with it. Yeah. So it's like, are you really recommending this person from your heart, or are you just introducing them and saying
as an acquaintance
of mine? And there is a distinction. And I think when you speak a foreign language, you might not have both words. And so you use the first word that comes to your mind and you say friend. But you can give a misunderstanding with that, Yes. Because you might be giving a recommendation and then maybe you regret it. I'm thinking of, like, for example, if somebody's looking for work, for example, yeah, and you imagine I have a neighbor, yeah, and they're looking for an electrician, right? And I say, this is my friend Craig, and he's an electrician. He isn't, by the way, but this is my friend Craig, and he's an electrician. Then my neighbor might think, that's fine. Then come and look in my house and you can do the job. You're a friend of Lynne's, so I trust you. Yeah. But if I don't know if Craig is a good electrician or not, then I wouldn't say, this is my friend Craig, he's an electrician. I say, this is an acquaintance of mine, he's an electrician. And then I'm just being nice and giving a contact, but I'm not taking any responsibility for the contact.
Yeah, and I think we've all been there when we've recommended someone and it hasn't worked out well, and then you feel bad, and it does come back on you or fall back on you.
Yeah. Christine's asking, could we explain the difference between this is my friend or this is a friend of mine?
Yes, a friend of mine is when you're in the mafia. And if you say this is a friend of ours, that means the other person is in the mafia as well. Okay, Christian?
Craig knows this,
yes.
from his time in... Where did you live? In New York or?
I did actually. This is Lynn. She's a friend of ours.
Yes, it's true. So if you say a friend of mine, you're kind of making a group, aren't you? Do you think? When you say this is my friend, I don't know.
I don't think there is a big difference, actually. I think it's pretty much the same. Maybe a friend of mine shows more possession, perhaps. But I think really there isn't that much difference, Christine. I don't think it matters. I don't know what you think, Lynn.
No, I don't think it matters very much. But I liked your explanation about the mafia.
The mafia, yeah, friend of ours. Lynn's a friend of ours. She's protected.
Take no notice, everybody. It means the same. A friend of mine or a friend of my friend.
Another question from Maru, Bruce. Can you explain the difference between my one and mine one? I'm not sure.
Mine one doesn't exist.
No.
And nor does my one. It doesn't exist either. The word you need is mine. You say, whose is this pencil? Pencil. This is mine.
Well, you could say...
Which means my pencil. And instead of saying my one, we have a word which is mine. We have lots of possessive pronouns. We have mine, yours, hers, his, theirs, ours, and yours, again, for plural.
Yeah.
So that's a whole set of possessive pronouns. Would you, I can't imagine saying my one, can you, Craig?
Well, I was going to say, I think your explanation is really good, but maybe if there's a group of children and lots of chocolate biscuits and one child is taking all the biscuits and the other child says, no, don't take that. That's your one and that's my one.
That's
kind
true.
Of situation.
Yes, it's more emphatic. That's more emphatic.
But you could just say, no, that's mine. It's exactly the same. So that's right. No difference, Madel.
Okay, right. Now we're on to acquaintances. So other words for people who we don't think are friends, right? So we talked about the word friend versus acquaintance. We did that a lot. You can also say, if you don't want to say acquaintance, you can say it's a colleague. Now that's if somebody you work with. So you can say it's a work colleague. All right. And I realized that on my website, where I talk to my students about come and see the Facebook class, I say, recently, I've been doing classes with a friend, an old friend and colleague of mine. Right. So you're a friend and colleague, Craig. Okay. Craig and I used to work together. We still work together.
We have fun together with these Facebook Lives. And we had the word mate before as an informal way of saying friend. And you can also say workmate, but just remember that's more informal. So the reason Lynn on her webpage put work colleague is because it's a little more polite. It's a little more formal than saying workmate. That would maybe be more in conversation in informal English.
Yeah. And then, of course, the opposite of true friends are false friends and fake friends. Although I have to say that a false friend is also a word that we use in grammar and in English teaching, don't we? For the words that sound the same in one language and in the foreign language, but are actually different. So we say they are false friends. For example, give me an example. Sensitive.
Embarrassed.
Insensible. Or embarrassed.
Embarazado. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a fair weather friend is also quite negative, because a fair weather friend, as the name implies, is only your friend when the sun's shining, when things are good. And when you have problems and when you need help, maybe that friend disappears and is not by your side to support you. So a fair weather friend is a friend that's only there for the good times and the fun, and is not really a reliable friend.
Okay. And Rafa is just asking the difference between colleague and partner. Now, in business, if we're talking in a work environment, colleague is somebody you work with, so another employee, but a partner is a relationship in business where you have equal control of the company. So you are the owner of the company with somebody else. You're a shared ownership. That's a partner.
Oh, Lynn's frozen. While she's coming back, Christine said a turncoat. Yeah, that's a lovely word for someone who you thought you knew or you thought you trusted, but you misjudged. So that person has surprised you because they've turned on you, and you can say that that person is a turncoat. Oh, you're back.
I'm so sorry. Back. I'm having the internet is a fair weather friend of mine.
It's today. Not your friend, the internet today.
It's not my friend today, no. So I beg your pardon for disappearing like that.
I was just saying, Christine had a lovely word, turncoat. Your internet is being a turncoat today for you.
Oh, very nice.
Hi, okay. Eva. Eva's in the chat. Yeah, good to see you here, Eva. Yeah, she says socio, which could be a business partner, for example, with a mención del inglés. I have a socio, a partner. His name's Lewis, and we work together on the website. But a partner can also be a romantic partner, of course.
Of course. And then we have a couple of verbs here to do with friendship. So the first one is to strike up a friendship, which is a nice phrasal verb, to strike up. And I don't know where it comes from. I think it's like we strike a match. A match is the little piece of wood where you get fire out of it. You know, if you want to light your cigarette, you would strike a match. So that's the match is the little piece of wood, and the action to make it burst into flames is to ignite it, is to strike. So we say to strike a match, and we have that idiom for to strike up a friendship,
and she's frozen again. So that means to begin a friendship. And as the word strike means to strike a match, it can also mean to hit. So if you hit someone, that's suddenly impactful in the same way that the friendship would strike up in an impactful way. And you're back.
I'm back.
This is fun.
I do hope.
I'll finish your sentences. You start the sentence. I'll finish them for you.
I'm sorry. If it gets too bad, then I'll leave it to you. Okay.
And then we have,
go on.
Oh, sorry. Well, then we have to stay friends and remain friends. So first you would strike up a friendship with someone, and then you stay friends. So I could say I've stayed good friends with my best friend Graham since we were 6 years old. We've remained friends over the years. Two peas in a pod. Peas, the Spanish word for peas, guisantes, right?
Mm-hmm. So they're like the little green vegetables, they're little green balls.
and they grow inside a pod, inside a little green jacket, and you have to open the pod to eat the peas. So if you are very, very close friends, you can say idiomatically that you're like two friends in a pod. No, two peas in a pod. You're very, very close friends.
And it also means not just that you're close, it means that you're similar as well.
Yes.
I think that you're not two friends that are completely different, but you have very similar interests and very similar personalities. Then you're like two peas in a pod. Okay. Now the next one is as thick as thieves. I don't know whether you like to pronounce that idiom. I am as thick as thieves.
It's difficult to say, isn't it?
It's very difficult. Craig and I are thick as thieves.
You have to put your tongue between your teeth for the th sound, and then thick as thieves. Thick as thieves.
Uh-huh. And the as, you can make it very weak. So you say thick as thieves, thick as thieves. And to be thick as thieves means that you are very, very close to one another. You have the same idea. You share everything, just like.
Well, I don't know what Lynn was going to say there. Just like what, she's going to leave us in suspense because I don't know what Lynn was going to say. It's similar to flesh and nail in Spanish. So that will be maybe carne, and is it nail uña or nail clavo? Probably uña. So maybe, I don't know that expression in Spanish. Carne and uña?
Carne.
Similar to flesh and nail. Do you know that expression, Lynn?
No, I don't know that one. And Christine is asking, to be like chalk and cheese is the contrary of two peas in a pod. Excellent,
Yeah,
Christine.
exactly.
Yes.
Very, very good.
Exactly. To be like chalk and cheese is the opposite of to be like two peas in a pod. Did you finish my sentence with the thieving?
No, because I didn't know what your example was going to be.
Okay. just like,
and then
two thieves who are robbing a bank. Yeah. Then they have to cooperate very closely with each other. And that is to be as thick as thieves. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Another idiom is to see eye to eye with someone. That means you understand them, you agree with them, you're on the same page. So Lynn and I see eye to eye as far as English teaching is concerned. I think we have a similar approach to teaching. We see eye to eye. We are in agreement with each other.
Mm-hmm. And we hit it off. Now, that's another phrasal verb, but I love that one. But it's a tricky one. You never hear Spanish people or other foreign speakers of English saying hit it off. Try to use it because it's a lovely expression. If you hit it off with somebody, it means that you get on really, really well. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So me and you.
And it's very common. It is
very common. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As soon as I met Lynn, immediately we hit it off, and she's frozen again. So Lynn is not hitting it off with her internet provider
You're
today.
hitting me out. Yeah. So to hit it off means to get on really well, to immediately like each other and have a friendship, to strike up a friendship. Mm-hmm.
And usually when that happens, you can say you have chemistry together. Now, that does not mean you studied chemistry together or you're both chemists. No, it just means that there's something that's very naturally good, a very good feeling when you're with that person. And you can say you have chemistry, which is a kind of an attraction. Not necessarily a romantic attraction. It can be you immediately like someone when you meet them. That happened to me recently. I met a guy last time I went to visit my sister, and there was something about him. He was very open, very friendly, very easy to talk to. And immediately we had chemistry. We got in a conversation and we started speaking about things and we hit it off because we had chemistry. We liked each other immediately.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes when that happens, that's happened to me as well. And then I've heard the expression, you must have known each other in a previous life. Have you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that sort of concept that maybe you are reincarnated, for the people who believe in reincarnation, that you are born again, that you die and you come back as another person. Then they say that when you hit it off and you have chemistry like that, that you've met before in a previous life. Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that?
I don't know. No, I'm not sure. I think there are people that you do have chemistry with, that you get on really, really well. And it could be that you have something in your genes, that have been passed down, and maybe your ancestors had similar experiences with similar people with similar genes. I don't know. Yeah. Do you believe that?
No, I don't think I do. But I do think that you can get a feeling from someone. I remember standing at a bus stop once and there was a person very close to me and I immediately got a negative feeling about that person. And that person did not look at me. That person did not speak to me. I just felt a negative energy. And I believe you can also feel positive energy from someone. And it's very, very difficult to explain. And I can say to put my finger on why. I can't put my finger on why, but I don't think it's reincarnation. I think it's something else.
Something else. Okay. And then we get on well. We've used that quite a lot. Right? So you see there's a lot of phrasal verbs with friendship. Yeah, like to hit it off, to get on well, which means you like each other. And then we have this phrase to get on like a house on fire, which is also
which
very
sounds
common.
Negative, doesn't it? It sounds really negative.
Sounds negative, but it's a little bit still from that those metaphors we had with to strike up a friendship, like ignite the match. Well, to get on like a house on fire, of course, if a house catches fire, everything burns very, very quickly. I mean, unfortunately, that's the case. If you have a fire in your house, the chances that the fire goes out of control very quickly, it's very probable. And we use that metaphor positively to describe a friendship. If you get on like a house on fire, it means you can't get enough of each other. You really, really enjoy each other's company. To get on like a house on fire.
In fact, you could say that you're kindred spirits, which is what Christine is suggesting. Yeah. But it's not exactly the same as to have chemistry, because I would say a kindred spirit is a lot closer than just having chemistry with someone. Do you agree? Lynn's frozen again. Yeah, in my opinion, if you have chemistry with someone, you're getting on well. It's very positive. There's a connection with the person, but a kindred spirit is very, very close, almost like two peas in a pod that we had earlier. So I would say that is a stronger connection. Yeah.
Okay. I hope for my sake that every time I keep freezing, I don't look really bad.
No, not at all. You were just like...
I know. Now, I've got to teach everybody this. I teach my students this all the time because I'm an online teacher. There is a very hip and trendy phrase which my daughter's taught me, and that is an RBF. Do you know what an RBF is?
An RBF, a really brilliant friend.
No.
Okay.
An RBF, I'm changing the topic. I'm sorry, but I've got to tell you this.
I'm curious now. You've piqued my interest.
There you are. So an RBF is a resting bitch face. And that is the face that we have when we think nobody is looking at us. And we look very angry and cross. It happens to everybody, yeah? So when you're talking to people, you have quite a nice face. But sometimes if you don't realize that people are looking at you, you might start looking very horrible. And that is an RBF.
RBF. I'm going to write that down.
Bitch face. Maybe I better put it in the chat for everybody. So, and this is one of the terrible side effects of Zoom conferences, you see, because when you freeze, if you're unlucky, you are left with a resting bitch face, an RBF. So
what if you're a man and that happens?
Well, you can still have a resting bitch face. It's usually for a well, I suppose you could change bitch for bastard, I suppose. If you wanted to.
That works. Yeah, so you can be an RBF. It's not sexually exclusive.
It's not, no. So I hope I haven't lost you all there, everybody, but I'm just apologizing in advance for
that was an interesting diversion.
For any unfortunate RBFs on the show tonight.
And to wrap up this section of vocabulary, if you know someone very well, you can say that you know them inside out, from dentro afuera, from the inside of the person to the outside, which really means completely. You know the person completely, you know them very, very well, you know them inside out. And I wouldn't say I know Lynne inside out. We're good friends, we're close friends, but we don't know each other that well to know each other inside out. But maybe if you're living with someone, if you have a partner, or maybe you know your children inside out, for example, you know them very, very well.
Christine says, we're a well-matched couple. No, I think we're thick as thieves. That's what we are.
Yeah, we are. We're thick as thieves. Let's hope we don't fall out, because if you fall out with your friend, then maybe you're not speaking to your friend. They've done something to offend you. And to fall out with someone is to not be on speaking terms and to be annoyed or angry with that person.
Again, it's a phrasal verb, isn't it? When we were preparing the vocabulary for this class, I realized that when you talk about friends, we have lots of phrasal verbs. And I'm sure that many students don't know half of this vocabulary, really, because you don't find it in books all the time, do you? You just say, I have a friend, I haven't got a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not the thing. So to fall out means to stop being friends, to stop speaking. We can also say to have an argument. Now, of course, for the Spanish speakers amongst you, argument and discussion, remember, are false friends. Right. So when we have an argument, it means we start shouting at each other. Right. If you have a discussion in English, then you're friends. We're friends and we have a discussion. Yep, at the moment, we are discussing the vocabulary of friendship. And of course, discusión in Spanish has that negative. That discusión in Spanish means argument in English. So be careful with that.
And there's an informal word in British English which means exactly the same as an argument, and it's row, R-O-W. Be careful with that word, because there's another word with exactly the same spelling, which, if you're a Spanish speaker, means remar. You can row a boat, or you have rows in the cinema, filas. But this meaning in this context is row. So the vowel sound is like now or how, or wow, row. And it's a verb and a noun. You can row with your neighbor, to row with someone, or to have a row. So you can say, I had a really bad row with my partner yesterday. It means exactly the same as an argument, and it's more common in British English.
And then we've got some other sort of like idiomatic ways to say things. Now, we've got this to lose touch with. Now, I love this one because touch means connection for us. So we have a few different verbs which go with touch, and it's all related to friendships. So we can get in touch with somebody, which means to contact somebody, to get in touch. We can stay in touch with somebody, which means you keep the contact. We can say to stay in touch, or you can say to keep in touch. It's the same. And that means to keep the contact with somebody. And then, of course, we have this one, which is to lose touch with somebody. And this happens with friends. And when you lose touch with them, it means you are still friends with them, but somehow your paths have gone in different directions and you're not in contact with them anymore. So you've lost touch with them. Maybe you haven't got their phone number anymore, or their address, or their... I mean, now it's quite difficult to lose touch with people, because with the internet and Facebook,
it's easy to keep in touch.
It's easy to keep in touch, and it's easy to stay in touch.
Did you lose touch with people when you came to live in Spain?
No, because I am the master at keeping touch with friends, Craig. That's one of the things my friends would tell you about. I have stayed in touch with people. I'm that kind of person, and I stay in touch with people forever.
Is that because, why do you think that is? Is that because you deliberately, consciously make an effort to do it, or do you think that's part of your personality and
I think it's both, really. It's just part of when people are really kind to me, and I've been really lucky in my life. I've had people who've been really, really kind to me. And I don't know, I don't like to forget it. So, for example, every Christmas, I send about 80 Christmas cards.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot of friends. And these are to people I haven't seen in 50 years. Yeah, some of them. Well, no, 50 years. I'm not that old, actually. I'm 57. So no, 40 years. But there are people that I met when I was young, when I traveled, when I went to different countries, to France, to Canada. And these people were very kind to me. And of course, I've never seen them again. But every Christmas, I send them a Christmas card, and they keep in touch with me as well. So
that's good to hear. Interesting what you said about technology, because in my case, I found it easier to keep in touch with people years ago when I wrote them letters and sent them postcards by hand. And I kept in touch because I traveled a lot, and it was easier for me somehow to write letters and post them, maybe because I was missing them more. And now with technology, with Skype and the internet, I do keep in touch with close friends, but I'm not so good at keeping in touch with acquaintances or old friends from years ago that I don't see very often. It's interesting. To bury the hatchet. A hatchet is like an axe, isn't it?
That's right.
Like
it's an axe.
Chop trees. And if you have a row or an argument with someone and you want to start the relationship again and forgive them and have the relationship, then you can say, look, let's bury the hatchet. So if you think of this hatchet as the problem, as the argument, you're burying it, you're putting it under the ground to forget it. So you forgive, you forget the problem, you're friends again because you have buried the hatchet. Everything's fine.
And then we have another little idiom, to clear the air. So if you have fallen out with your friends and you're not friends anymore, but you want to bury the hatchet, maybe it's important that you clear the air. Now, imagine that you're not speaking to each other, and then the situation is very tense. That's the air, if you like. And so when you clear the air, you speak your mind. So you give your opinion, and honestly, frankly, and your friend will give their opinion honestly and frankly. And then after you've talked about that, then you can be friends again. So when you clear the air, it's not burying the hatchet. You're not forgetting it, but you're talking about it, if you like.
Yes.
Talking about
getting everything out in the open.
In the open.
What's the expression with dirty washing? Don't
do your dirty laundry in public.
No,
is that what you mean? No, or that's something else. No,
I'm thinking of something else. Forget it. After going into a tiff, which is kind of like a small row, isn't it?
A little argument.
A little argument. Couples usually make up. Another phrasal verb, to make up, means to forgive one another. Exactly. And Rafa says, enterrar el hacha de guerra.
To bury the hatchet.
That means bury the hatchet. Well, I've learned something today. Thank you, Rafa.
I think it comes from that, Rafa, because I think hatchet, you said you think it's like, let's bury it, let's forget the problem. But I see it very much as like a weapon. You were about to kill each other and you bury that and you take away the aggression.
Okay.
I think to bury the hatchet means let's not be aggressive and vindictive anymore. It's quite serious to bury the hatchet. Have you? I don't think I've ever buried the hatchet. I'm not a violent person.
Of course not. Why would you be? To build bridges also means to repair the relationship or to create the relationship either from the beginning or de nuevo, again, to repeat the relationship, to build bridges. And the opposite is to burn bridges. Obviously, in that case, burn is negative. So we had to strike up a friendship with fire. That's the positive one. Or to get on like a house on fire, another positive burning expression. But to burn your bridges is to completely forget about a person and stop the contact forever. So there's no going back and burying the hatchet, for example. And to build bridges is very positive. You're building contacts, you're building friendships, you're creating new relationships.
And then we have another phrasal verb, which is to let you down, right? Oof. Now, to let you down really means to disappoint somebody. So another phrasal verb, to rely on somebody. If you rely on somebody, this happens a lot, of course, with partners, romantic partners, I think, because when you look for your partner in life, people want to rely on that person. They want that person to be dependable, to be reliable, to always be there. And if that person one day isn't there for you in your moment of need, then maybe you feel disappointed. Maybe you feel they have let you down, which means they have disappointed you. A very common verb. Yep. So try to use it. And then Miriam said from the Beatles, a Beatles song, "Don't Let Me Down."
Don't let me down. Oh, no. Yeah. Your internet's letting you down today, isn't it?
Oh, terribly, terribly. I'm sorry about that.
So a thing can let you down. A thing can let you down. I'm really happy this week. Rafa will remember last week I had problems with this sound system. We were getting echo and it really let me down. But this week it seems to be working okay. So
great.
That's good news. It's not letting me down. Okay, well, we've got some to finish. We've got some sayings, some common sayings that we can look at connected to friendship and relationships. For example, true friends are like diamonds, precious but rare. And false friends that we had before are like autumn leaves found everywhere.
That's a rhyme. That's very poetic. Did you make that up, Craig?
No, I stole it from the internet. But it's nice, isn't it? I like it. I hadn't seen that before. Nice. Very true.
True friends are like diamonds, precious but rare. False friends are like autumn leaves found everywhere. I just wanted to say it because I like the sound. It's nice.
Lynne, what do you think makes a good friend?
Well, I think a good friend is somebody who listens. Yeah.
Sorry, what did you say?
You're terrible. We don't like him anymore. No, I'll fall out with you.
We've fallen out, haven't we?
I'll fall out with you.
Bad joke.
Right? Yeah. No. So a true friend is somebody, I think, who listens to you, who you can count on them, you can rely on them. They're dependable. I think a good friend is also somebody who's fun. You know, I have lots of different friends, and some friends are more fun than others. But my favorite friends are the ones that are fun because I like to laugh. So a nice friend also makes you laugh, really, aren't they? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's important to feel good when you're with a friend, to have a good time, to have that connection. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, one thing I don't like. Can I say the opposite? What I think makes a lousy friend.
A bad friend, a lousy friend.
A lousy friend. I think what makes a lousy friend is somebody who's very selfish.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What do you think?
A fair weather friend. Well, it's interesting because years and years ago, I used to have a lot of drinking buddies when I used to drink a lot of alcohol. And they tended to appear in pubs, or I was in touch with them to go out drinking. And when I decided to stop drinking alcohol, I really noticed who my friends were, because suddenly people who I thought were my friends, they stopped being my friends. And they dropped out of touch, and not that we fell out, but that we just didn't keep in touch with each other. And the few friends that remained were really good friends because they liked me for who I was and not just someone to go out and have a laugh and have fun with. So I agree with you, Lynne, that it's important to have a laugh and have good times when you're in company of friends. But it's also good to know that they'll be there because of you, not because of what you're giving them. So
no, and I mean, good friends anyway, you have all of the spectrum, don't you? You have good times and bad times. Christina's written there on the chat, who's always there for better and worse. Yeah. For the good and times, poorer. For the bad times. Sounds like we're marrying our friends. No, we don't marry our friends. We only marry one. But it is true. I married my best friend. So
a friend in need is a pain in the neck. No, a friend in need is a friend indeed. a friend in need is a friend indeed. Another rhyme. See, the vowel sounds rhyme. In need, indeed.
Indeed. I don't really know what that means, though. What does that mean? A friend, or if a friend comes to you when you need them, they are a good friend. That's what it means.
And that happened to me actually yesterday. I needed a favor from a friend who lives abroad. And I got in touch with him, and also someone I've known for many, many years. And I asked a favor, which was quite a big favor. And of course, he said yes, which I thought he would. And that's a good friend. And I was in need, and I knew that he is a friend indeed. And I could ask the favor, because I find it very difficult to ask favors of people. So it has to be a close friend in order for me to ask the favor.
Oh, that's nice. I have no problem asking anybody for help.
Why not?
The next one, right. Friends are those rare people who ask how we are and then wait to hear the answer.
Yes, I think that's very true. Listening is very important, a very big part of being a friend. Knowing how to listen.
Sorry, what did you say? I couldn't hear you. Shall we change the topic?
I was trying to get you a... There you go. I need to practice that a bit.
Just a bit.
A man is known by his friends, by the company he or she keeps. Well, we spoke about this a little earlier, didn't we?
You spoke about that earlier, yeah.
And I think that's very true. Yeah.
So that you recognize people by recognizing how their friends are. Yeah, you judge people by their friends. Okay.
Friendships like money, easier made than kept. So it's quite difficult to keep a good friendship for a long time, like money. And I think I agree with that. And I'm not...
Do you?
I've not been very good, as I mentioned earlier. You are obviously excellent at keeping in touch and keeping your friends. And it's something I struggle with. It's something I have to make an effort with, especially living here in Spain and having friends abroad. And especially when people's lives take a particular turn or a particular direction that doesn't necessarily go the same way as you. Maybe they start a family and you don't start a family. Maybe they move to another country and you're somewhere else, and their priorities change. It's not easy sometimes to keep friendships.
It's not easy to make money or keep money either. I think I agree with the friendship one, but not with the money. I'm not good at making money or keeping money. So
that's like
I'm better with friends.
Someone said to me once, money is round, it rolls away. Question from Carmen: how do you say donde las dan los toman? I don't know, Carmen.
I don't know what that means.
Where they give, they take, or to give and take, maybe. In friendship, you need to give and take.
You need give and take. Yeah. Jorge is saying for better or worse, and to learn English too. Yeah. Okay. And is there another one? Keep your friends.
Oh yes, there's one more. Lend your money, lose your friend. So don't mix money with friendship, which I think is quite true. I'm very, very careful about mixing money and friendship. It can end in tears.
Possibly.
It can end
Yeah,
badly.
possibly. But then again, I think if you really are in need, then the person to lend money from is always better if it's a friend.
Yes.
I mean, it's always
Yeah.
best not to lend money between friends. Yeah, I think it's best to keep money out of friendships, isn't it? Because it's safer to
Yes.
keep the friends. But if you are in desperation, probably it's better to lend money from friends. I'm not sure. I don't.
Well, it depends how much money, because I think
Yeah.
with some friends, if you lend money and it's not too much money, then you could give it as a gift and not expect it back. And having that expectation of not getting it back makes it a lot easier, because if you get the money back, that's a bonus. But
Yes.
because it's a close friend, if you just give them the money because they need it, they're really in trouble. Maybe they lose their house, maybe they lose their job, they don't have money for food. And that's actually happened to someone I know. If you give them the money and say, yeah, pay me back when you can, and you don't get the money back, then
maybe you're a little bit. You have an expectation that hasn't been
yeah, you
fulfilled.
haven't lost your friend.
That's true.
Chantal says, when you move to another country, it's more difficult to keep friends. Exactly, Chantal. That's what I was saying before. It's been very difficult for me to keep in touch with friends, but probably my fault.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, I lived I've lived 21 years in Spain, and I lived 13 years in Germany, and I still speak regularly to my friends in Germany. Regularly.
How do you find the time? You're working full time teaching English. You've got a family around you. How do you find time to keep in touch?
I don't know. I mean, we used to telephone a lot. We do that less so now, and we do more with WhatsApp, which is not. I mean, WhatsApp's good because you can do it very quickly, but on the other hand, you don't have such deep conversations, maybe, you know?
And it can be a time suck, which means it sucks your time into WhatsApp, and before you know what's happened, it's half an hour that's gone. Anyway, speaking of time, sorry, you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say something profound.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about friendships, and I think, you know, often what keeps friendships going is the day-to-day things, you know. So you see your friends and you catch up and you say what you've been doing and what you're going to do and where you're going to go on holiday, and you kind of like give that newsy things. That's one type of friend. Right. That's one type of exchange you have with your friends. But true friends, you talk about other things, don't you? You talk about like bigger issues. Maybe you can have a conversation, I don't know, about anything really, about life or about politics, or it doesn't have to be something that's imminent, something that's happening now.
That's true.
And I can find that with my friends, because I think that's the problem with WhatsApp, you see, because if you do WhatsApp or social media, you said that with social media you don't keep in touch as much. And I think it's because with social media, people have an up-to-date picture of exactly what you're doing and where you're doing it all the time, and that's not interesting. And when you have true friendships, like sometimes I call my friends and we talk about completely different topics. You know, we don't talk about what my children were doing, what I've been doing. We do that a little bit, but that's not the content. That's not what keeps a friendship going, I think. Maybe that's why you felt that when you wrote letters, you wrote about more than just a description of your life, you know?
Yeah, I think that's true. And it's also true what you said, that you can find out what people are doing and what's happening in their lives by checking their Facebook profile, following them on Twitter. So, you know, you don't have that need of communication so much as before. So you're not really communicating, you're just following what the person's doing. And you say, oh, yeah, Juan's okay, he's doing blah, blah, blah. And there's not that need to write a letter or get a letter from the person.
And then you don't have that connection really, do you? Because it's
not the same.
It's not very valuable.
Anyway, we have to finish up because we are at the top of the hour. So before we go, should we quickly go back to the vocabulary to refresh your minds? Make sure you've got these words that you didn't know, if there were any expressions that you hadn't seen before. So we've got friend, remember the pronunciation, friend, pal, mate, both informal, your best friend or your bestie, as younger people tend to say, your drinking buddy, someone you go to the pub with, your partner in crime. Lynn is my partner in crime on every second Wednesday for Facebook Live. A childhood friend from when you were younger, an old friend who you have known for many years, a friend for life, and true friends.
Mm-hmm. And then these are the words when we're not talking about our friends and we want to distinguish. So we have an acquaintance, you have a work colleague or a workmate. You might be unlucky and have false or fake friends. We don't like fair weather friends, even though it sounds good. We don't like fair weather friends. They're only there for you when the sun shines, but never when it rains. We like to strike up a friendship, to ignite a friendship. So you start a fire, and we had another phrase, which is to get on like a house on fire, when you get on really, really well. And then you can stay or remain friends. You can stay in touch. You can keep in touch as well with your friends.
And if you're very similar, you're like two peas in a pod. And if you do things together very regularly that maybe you're a little bit suspicious or naughty or mischievous, you can be as thick as thieves with your friend. To see eye to eye is to be on the same page, to have similar beliefs and similar opinions. And to hit it off with someone is to immediately have a good rapport, a good feeling about the other person. And you also have good chemistry. You get on well. The opposite of that is to get on badly. To get on like a house on fire is positive, not negative. It means you have a really good relationship. You get on very, very well, like a house on fire. And to know someone in detail is to know someone inside out.
Mm-hmm. And RBF is a resting bitch face. And we haven't had one, have we?
Or a resting bastard face. If you're a frozen man face.
You're a frozen one. Okay, well, we hope you learned something today, everybody. And maybe, Craig, you want to say something about Mansión Inglés?
Yes, if you would like free material and information and exercises and listenings and all sorts of quizzes, go to this website, mansioningles.com, sign up for our free newsletter, which is every 2 weeks. And you've got lots of exercises there at different levels every 2 weeks. And listen to the podcast, which is every week at inglespodcast.com or wherever you listen to your audio. Lynn?
Okay, right. And if any of you want online lessons with me, then you can go to my website at putitlikethis.com and I can help you, with whatever your specific objective is, whether it's writing or reading or speaking, trying to find your own voice in English. That's what I hope that I try to achieve with my students, so that they can express themselves the way they really want to in English. So you can go to Put It Like This and look there. Okay.
Putitlikethis.com. Fantastic. Shall I play the music?
You can try. I'm not dancing.
Have a good week, everyone. I'll be back next week with Monica. Lynn, hopefully we'll be back in 2 weeks with another subject for you. Stay safe. Be careful. Thanks for joining. And we'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.